This guy, Ryan Grantham, or Grantham, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I've seen his face before, but I'm not sure who he actually is. I know he's an actor, but I can't remember if he's on Disney Channel or like movies.
Time in the spotlight can generate a vast amount of pressure. Couple
But I
this
know
with
I've seen
problems
him.
at home, and it's a recipe for disaster. But when well-known actor Ryan
This
Grantham
dude.
broke down from a family health diagnosis, he would quite literally go off the deep end. Unknown to the public or even his family, Ryan slipped into a world filled with the horrors of the dark
Stay
web,
focused.
substance
There's a heavy
abuse,
unit
and
approaching.
even nefarious plans.
Keep going.
And one of those
Nobody
plans
knows you're
was
here.
to murder Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
He wanted
Good
to
morning,
kill the
good
Prime
afternoon,
Minister.
or good evening, folks. My name is Adrian, and welcome back to Coffee House Crime. Today, we're looking at the case of Ryan Grantham. Famous actor, murder, and even presidential assassination. You know, I feel like this case really slipped under the
movie
radar
star
with thanks to
to-
COVID. Anyway, before we begin, and just to let you know
Assassinated.
that I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that does sound like your kind
This
of
fool
thing,
blew
please
up,
consider
like, last
subscribing to
year.
the channel. And now, with that said,
I think
please
he went
grab
from
yourself a
like
coffee, pull up
less
your
than
seat, and
100K
get
or
ready for the
like
deep
maybe
dive.
100K or
This
something
is the
like that.
Location
case
reached.
of Ryan Grantham.
Over a
Drop me
million
in and defend
in a
our
year.
position.
I remember watching it blow up, bro.
Welcome to the beautifully rugged province of British Columbia. Being the westernmost part of Canada, the so-called left coast meets the US at its northern border, with the city of Vancouver just a stone's throw away from my birthplace of Grantham. Despite its heavy rainfall and precipitous landscape, there is a lot to be admired here, and there is no end to its natural beauty either, ranging from snow-capped mountains to alpine dense islands, with rivers and lakes abundant throughout. If you continue to weave through the mountains, rivers and national parks north of Vancouver, you will eventually stumble across a small town named Squamish. Located around 25 miles north of the city, and despite its rather quirky name, this town has impressively been around for thousands of years. First inhabited by the Squamish, the indigenous people of the region, their culture and history should run deep here and
Imagine
be found in
starting a
abundance.
town or a
However,
city, bro.
sadly, only 10
it's
fluent
first
native speakers
nothing.
exist today. Focusing on its more modern-day spectacles, there isn't really much to tell you here. With a population of under 20,000 residents, it's a small and sleepy town that barely sees anything worthy of a spot on the news. Despite this, Squamish seems to be a diamond in the rough. If nature and wilderness is your thing to observe and explore, there is so much to see and do here. From hiking and mountaineering to windsurfing and kayaking, you will never find yourself bored of the outdoors. It was this reason that Barbara White, a 64-year-old woman, lived and loved it here. Although many would argue she was in her golden years, Barbara was beautiful and healthy, likely due to her close connection with nature and physical fitness. A list of her hobbies include regular hikes, skiing, biking, rock climbing, and one of her personal favourites. Now, I don't know about you here, but Barbara's lifestyle is one that many should be envious of. And personally speaking, I hope in my golden years I'm that in tune with nature. You know, I can't really say that I cared much about the outdoors when I was younger, but as I go through my years,
Still
I find
working
myself
on it.
more and more compelled
Continue
to
to
live a
defend.
down-to-earth lifestyle. I mean, the pandemic definitely changed a few priorities for all of us, right? Anyway, Barbara was a loving daughter, a caring sister, and a nurturing mother of two. And as for her children, Lisa and Ryan, they both loved their mother immensely. Now, Barbara was particularly close to her daughter, but this wasn't to say that she played favourites in the slightest. Lisa's brother, Ryan, was born in 1998. And although not much is known about his earlier years, you may already recognise his From a very young age, Barbara realised that Ryan had a passion for acting. With herself being such a go-getter already, she wanted nothing more than to support her son in building his potential career. And so, from the young age of 8, Ryan began to appear on television, often being cast for his cute and innocent appearance. This included stints on TV commercials, TV shows, short films, and minor
Stay
roles in
focused.
I feel like
cinema.
I've seen
Many
him.
of his
Heavy unit
roles were
approaching.
small to begin with,
That
and he rarely
it-
made any
oh.
appearance on more than a single
that The
episode
Boys
for the
or
series he would be cast in.
Supernatural or
However, this mildly successful acting career
It was
would carry young
Supernatural.
Ryan throughout his childhood and into his teen years. And in 2010, at the age of 12, he landed one of his most recognizable roles. That, of course, being cast as Rodney Jones in the children's movie Diary of a Wimpy Kid. From here on out, Ryan started to play several minor roles in more successful and higher budget films and TV shows. He would even play alongside the likes of Johnny Depp and Jude Law. But Ryan was rarely a lead actor. Instead, he made small appearances as temporary characters. Some notable series being iZombie, Falling Skies, and hit Warner Brothers series Supernatural. One of his only other big roles would come in 2016, when he landed the lead role of Tommy in the feature film Considering Love and Other Magic. In this role, he played his character as a timid teen boy who insisted that he hadn't left his house in over 60 years. Ryan always seems to find himself in the role of a timid, awkward teenager, and given his modest height of 5'2" and youthful boyish appearance, he was usually portrayed to be well below his actual age. If you were to Google his name, you will likely find him as an actor in the popular mystery drama series Riverdale. However, as seen with many of his previous roles, he only played in one single episode in the middle of season 4. Now, I'm not going to pretend I'm any sort of good actor myself, but it does make you wonder, if he was unable to land any sort of concrete role, then was his acting ever really that good to begin with? Saying that, Ryan racked up a total of 37 credits on IMDb, all between the ages of 8 and 21. So he did have quite a successful career. He would even receive several nominations in British Columbia's Leo Awards, and won Best Male Actor at the Vancouver Shorts Film Festival, thanks to his role in the movie Liz in 2011. Throughout this career,
I think I only
Ryan
know him
always
from
had the
that
infinite
Supernatural
support of his
episode.
sister, Lisa, and of course his mother, Barbara, both of
'Cause I
which who were
haven't seen
immensely
anything
proud
else
of their
that
brother
he
and
said.
son. But sadly, in a cruel twist of fate, it was towards the latter end of her son's career that Barbara was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh.
She began her battle against the disease, and although she also had the support of her family, she watched her diagnosis take a very heavy toll on her children. Whether it was the result of his mother's diagnosis, the pressure of his career, or an amalgamation of both, Ryan's career began to exhibit a few worrying behaviors. And unfortunately, this is where the story gets pretty dark, pretty fast. Although his family were aware of some of these bad habits, Ryan was able to keep some of them to himself, likely due to shame. He unfortunately slipped into a very self-destructive state of depression, often abusing alcohol and even contemplating taking his own life. His family were aware of this, but what they didn't know was that he was also abusing weeds in excessive quantities. And Ryan feared that his mother would be very disappointed if she found this out. His mental state became so self-destructive that he secretly dropped out of school at Simon Fraser University, which would be another thing that he would keep a secret from his family. And from here on out, Ryan spent a lot of his time alone in his room, where he became infatuated with the web. He began to watch hundreds of violent and graphic videos, all of which fueled his own negative thoughts and tendencies. And moving forward, homicidal fantasies became an alarming staple in his already unstable mind. Ryan kept a journal to keep track of his thoughts. These diaries were not daily plans, therapeutic musings, or healthy creative outlets. Instead, they recorded the twisted thoughts of an increasingly disturbed young adult. His notes ranged from thoughts of severe self-loathing all the way through to plans on how to create Molotov cocktails. And unfortunately, it didn't stop there either. To add to this, he also created dozens of torture plans that he wished to inflict on other people. It was in March of 2020 that Ryan began to create a catalogue
What made him so angry though?
And unfortunately, he wanted to reenact a few of these before taking his own life. His
Apparently
mother and
that does that
sister,
to a lot
who
of
were
people.
entirely unaware of this, continued to support Ryan to the very best that they could. Even in the face of a family diagnosis, they all persevered. And sadly, as I say this all too often, life for the Grantham family was about to change in an instant.
You say that for the Grantham family?
April the
You
1st,
say that often?
2020. It was a typical spring day in Squamish, and safe to say, April showers were well and truly underway. The town was quiet. It was a Wednesday, and in the peak pandemic season, almost nobody was out. However, for Lisa Grantham, that quietness was abnormally different. It had been 2 days since she had last heard from her mother and brother, and when it came to Barbara, this was very much out of character.
He killed her, I
The
think,
pair
right?
were particularly close with one another and kept in regular daily contact. But what was even more peculiar is that all of the previous texts to her mother had remained unread. And as for every phone call, they all went straight through to voicemail. Lisa felt uneasy with this knowledge. Due to her diagnosis and the required treatment, her mother was particularly vulnerable. She therefore decided, despite the restrictions, to drive over to Letting herself in with her own keys, the home was eerily silent. A pin could drop and you'd definitely hear it, they would say. Nobody appeared to be home. Walking into the living room, she peered up at the grand piano. What was strange though was that it was now covered in a plastic tarp. And that wasn't the most puzzling part of the scene either. Candles had been placed
can you
throughout
kill your
the
own
entire
mother,
room,
though?
mostly next to and on top of the plastic tarp. These candles had been placed carelessly around the place, and wax had pooled all over the floor. And hanging from the piano itself was a string of beads sporting a cross.
Was there some
Overall,
kind of
the scene was
sacrifice?
very puzzling for Lisa. However, after taking a closer
like a
look,
ritual
her
or
second
something?
observation would haunt her forever. Underneath
Imagine
this
having to
plastic
walk in and
tarp
see that,
appeared
like,
to
your
be the
own
motionless body of a human.
Yeah, dude.
And whoever it was, they were collapsed over the piano. Lisa knew that whatever was underneath could only be something truly horrific. She called the police immediately. After they arrived, they found the motionless body of Barbara. Barbara was pronounced dead at the scene, and as for Lisa, she crumbled in an instant. Her mind immediately thought of Ryan, and how next she'd have to tell him of the very terrible news. However, very little did she know that she would never actually have to do this, because a few miles down the road, Ryan was already in police custody following a confession. He had just admitted to killing his mother. Now, if you thought this story was already chilling, well, we're only getting started and heading
You don't
into
even
the
hear
realms
it?
of
You
insanity.
must have, like, been
Buckle up,
manic.
folks. Things are about to get a lot stranger.
He must have been manic or something, dude. Wait,
As already mentioned, Ryan was exhibiting bizarre behavior.
So
in
his
the
mom
weeks
got
leading up to
cancer
March
and
the
he
31st.
started tripping
And this
balls
was all most notable in
and
his
killed her?
diary. And although his notes were confidential at the time, they were now in the hands of the police. Believe it or not, but
Did he
Ryan
just
had
start doing
concocted a
drugs or
plan
something?
to assassinate Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Now, the reasoning behind this was unclear, but his books outlined a very clear and detailed plan by which means to do it. Maps were drawn, Molotov cocktail recipes were created, and a structured plan was made. Ryan was dead set on the idea, and he had even outlined further plans at the university afterwards. It soon became evident to the authorities that Ryan was an extremely disturbed, depressed, and distressed young man. But in order to go through with his plans, he told the authorities that he had to take his mother out first. The thought of causing violence was so absolute in Ryan's mind that his only point of contention was for his family. He did not want to disappoint them or cause them any pain, and it was for
he
this
just
reason
kills
that
her?
he murdered his own mother. While she was busy playing the piano, he raised his pistol, took aim, closed his eyes, and then pulled the trigger. As a result, Barbara was killed immediately.
But he thought it is like mercy to not
Disturbing
shame,
side note,
to not
but
let
the
her.
details behind this case are eerily
They were
similar to that of
ashamed of
Trace
him or
Esler.
something?
He too wanted to attack his school, and he too killed his family to save the disappointment. And then, he too backed out of his plans only after it was too late. In the moments after his horrific act, Ryan grabbed his GoPro camera and
Here is
recorded
a
a
terminal.
confession to killing his mother.
Get me in
He would
and
also
get
film
ready
her
to
motionless body before saying, "I shot her in the back of the head." In the moments after, she was known for his room. After his recording, Ryan left the townhouse, loaded himself up on beer and marijuana, and then created Molotov cocktails for the next stage of his plan. He then sat and watched Netflix before heading to bed that night,
This will take a
all
moment.
while his mother's lifeless corpse lay downstairs. The next morning, he covered his mother and the piano in a plastic tarp, before lighting candles and hanging a rosary in a ceremonial fashion. It was on that day of April the 1st, 2020, that he planned to carry out the
April
next stage of
Fool.
his plot, and that was to assassinate the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Shit.
But before going ahead with these plans, he couldn't continue before writing one last entry on his diary. I'm so
Still
sorry,
working on
Lana.
it.
I'm so
Continue
sorry,
to
Lisa.
practice.
There's a lot of media review out there, film and TV, hundreds of hours of me that can be viewed in dissected. No one will understand. After this, he packed his car with 3 guns, ammunition, and 12 Molotov cocktails. He also packed camping supplies, expecting to be on the run for quite some time. Taking a hand-marked map from one of his diaries, he planned to drive over 50 hours to the Canadian Prime Minister's cottage, where he then planned to open fire and set the
Terminal
house
hacked.
ablaze. However, after driving 150 miles east to the town of Cove, his resolve faltered after believing his plan was too complicated to follow. But with everything in the truck, and having killed his mother in order to carry out his plans, it was too late to turn back. Ryan decided to fall back on his plan of the Prime
He said,
Minister
"Fuck
and
it,
instead
dude, full
focus on
send."
attacking Simon Fraser University. And after turning around, he headed right towards the city of Vancouver. But this too seemed to be too overwhelming for him. Before going through with his intentions, he stopped at a local parking lot, where he then contemplated taking his own life. Nothing had gone to plan.
How does he know
and
that,
to add to
though?
this, he had already murdered his mother. However, this plot would also fail. As he sat there
does he
psyching
know that he
himself
pulled
up,
over and
he
thought
concluded that
about
the
that?
best way to repay his mother's death
Maybe he
was
admitted
to
it.
remain alive instead. During his confession to the police, he said, "I took a beautiful life from the world, so I felt that I owed the world a life instead." It's
Or
at
maybe
that
he had a
moment that he
manifesto?
drove to the nearest police station, walked up to the front counter, and then told the police officer who was sitting at reception everything he had done.
Yeah,
As
he
a
just
result,
admitted it all.
Ryan was arrested immediately, and all in the meanwhile, Lisa had just walked into the town house and found her mother's body. As mentioned before,
fucked
Ryan
up.
justified murdering his mother by apparently sparing her all the emotional turmoil that he would have created through his own mother's grief. Ryan did not want to be seen as a monster by his family, so I guess he at least recognized that he was one. But you see, even in this action, you can see that he valued his integrity more than his own mother's life. In regards to the legal proceedings of this case, it will take more than 2 years for Ryan to finally face trial. And yeah, you can thank COVID for that one.
Thanks, COVID.
The trial began on June the 13th, 2020, where the court learned of Ryan's plans alongside numerous homemade videos the actor had created himself. And regretfully, these recordings included videos of him rehearsing the murder of his own mother. Obviously, Ryan
You
is an
rehearsed the
extremely
murder?
disturbed individual. After
Oh,
a
they're talking
rather
it through,
lengthy
maybe?
psychological evaluation, it was determined that he'd developed a strong case of psychosis due to his heavy substance abuse, which mainly comprised of marijuana and alcohol. Now, obviously, substances like
Hold
this
on,
can
bro.
be responsibly enjoyed.
There's no way you could say that just weed and drinking fucking caused him to do some shit like that, bro. I don't believe that at all. I think this man either already had some shit wrong with him, or maybe he kind of just was already feeling that and then decided to how the hell do I pull out my scanner on this game? Yeah, but I don't think it's weed and shit that does that. I think he already had some shit going on with him, or maybe he had fucking some lace shit like K2 or something. Maybe he had meth or some other shit, dude. I don't think it was weed and alcohol that would make you kill your own mother and want to assassinate basically your president, you know? I don't know. I don't believe that. I think it's more. I think he was probably already kind of messed up in the head, probably wired differently.
However, Ryan was using them to
I
a
don't know.
very detrimental level. In the end, he was diagnosed
I
with
don't
a
think
severe
even if you
mood
abuse
disorder
them,
and
I
a
don't think
severe
you would
substance abuse disorder,
go
both
that
of which
insane.
contributed to his disturbed state of mind before killing his own mother. As you can likely imagine, his defense team would
Oh,
very
shit.
heavily lean on this. They also argued that Ryan was
that's how he
clinically
is.
depressed and had been struggling with an anxiety disorder for many years prior. And to add to this, he had even expressed a desire to take his own life. However, experts claimed that his
fuck did I pull
conditions
out my
were not a
scanner?
means to absolve Ryan for the responsibility for his actions, and furthermore that he should face the full force of the law. In a statement to the court, Ryan said, "I cannot explain or justify my actions. I have no excuse. It hurts me to think about how badly I've wasted my life. In the face of something so horrible, saying sorry seems so pointless. But from every fiber of my being, I am sorry." Victim impact statements were given during the trial,
I don't know
with
how to
other
pull out my
members of
scanner,
Ryan's
dude.
family taking to the stand against him. Understandably, they were all
Ooh,
very
shit,
hurt
that
and
was cool.
confused. Most notably, Ryan's sister said, "How can I trust anybody when my only sibling chose to execute my mum while her back was turned?" She further
crazy.
iterated that her mother was defenseless, that she was weak and frail from her battle with cancer, and that Ryan took advantage of her while she was faced away and her guard was down.
Bro, that is fucked up, right?
Lisa and her extended family are gravely saddened by the loss of Barbara. And even more so, they are shocked that one of their own family members could commit such an atrocity. Court Justice Kathleen Kerr called the crime tragic and heartbreaking. She further expressed that it was miraculous that Ryan chose to turn himself in, rather than go through with his horrific plans. Ryan was initially charged with first-degree murder. However, due to his diminished mental state at the time of his crimes, this was later reduced to murder in the second degree. Now, this may sound like good news for Ryan. However, under Canadian law, second degree is still automatically served with a life sentence. The only thing his lawyer could actually dispute was the amount of time he would have to serve before he was released parole. Ryan would officially plead guilty. His lawyers argued that, due to his expression of guilt and sorrow, his minimum term should be reduced to 12 years. In contrast to this, the prosecution was aiming for a minimum of 18 years. In the end, his actual sentence was eventually met roughly in the middle,
You can
and
kill
he
your
was
mother, you
sentenced
can
to
kill
life in
anybody.
prison with a minimum of 14 years behind bars. This meaning that he will not be eligible for parole until the year 2036.
Terminal spotted.
According to reports,
Upload
Ryan is
me
being
and
held at a
prepare to
secure
defend.
facility specializing in mental health treatment, where he often receives support to help him get over the grief of murdering his own mother. He receives therapy and counseling in a private facility, and it's here that he will serve the remainder of the sentence alone. Side note, but Ryan's lawyer claims this is
like
for
it
his
should
own
be
good.
life, dude.
Due to his small 5'2" height and
again,
slim build,
he
he
could have
would
been
have
grown
likely
shit, but
become a
still.
victim of taller and older
What if he
men.
fucks up
As a
again?
result,
That's
he has been
another
through
life.
a lot of physical, psychological, and even sexual abuse. Lisa Grantham is understandably extremely devastated,
I don't know,
as
bro.
her
That's a
family
whole
has
murder,
fallen
man.
apart in the very blink of an eye. She has lost
He's
her beloved
gotta be
mother,
traumatized,
and
bro.
even more
Imagine walking in
unflinchingly,
here.
it was her own brother. Barbara Waite was a devoted mother who deserved much more than the awful fate she was handed. To be murdered by her son, whom she so dearly loved and dutifully supported, is truly heartbreaking.
At least she didn't
Affectionately
notice,
called
man.
Barbara by her friends and family, she is remembered for her kindness in the future. She was an adventurous spirit who enjoyed the outdoors and being active. And despite the fact that she was small in physical stature, she was strong and brave in almost every sense imaginable. She fought through challenges with a relentlessly positive outlook. May she may rest in peace. And so, folks, I think that just about wraps up our case today. Thank you so much for being here for another video today.
I can't believe this fool.
If you found this case interesting or insightful,
I just
please
lost
leave
his
us a
shit.
like.
They're trying to blame it on weed and alcohol.
So, what do you think about this case?
I don't
Still
believe
working
that,
on
bro.
it. Continue to defend.
All that from weed and alcohol? Hell nah, dude. That fool has some demons. I don't believe it. There has to be more. Either I don't know, maybe they're not releasing all the info, or maybe they just, maybe by the time they hit his autopsy, like the shit was out of the system. I think he was already fucked up in the head,
The
bro.
odds were against
But
us,
he just
Tenno,
so
but
happened
we
to
did it.
drink and smoke
Mission
too.
complete.
I don't think it had anything to do with how much, like, the intake of that shit. I think it has to do with he was already fucked up and he was just doing that too. I know. But yeah, I feel like if you could kill your mother, you could kill anybody, dude. Because that was the person that, like, brought you into this world, you know? Even if you hate them, to kill them, I feel like you can kill anybody. And even if it was like on some, oh, I lost my temper, or oh, I was in a manic state, it's like, bro, what if you go into another manic state? It's another person you're gonna take. And already that one was too many. So it's like, why risk it? Might as well. Like, sorry, bro, but there are other people that are in prison for shit that they're genuinely crazy, you know? People that gotta spend time in the psych ward, they're genuinely crazy. They have no control over that. Kinda like, bro, I'm sorry. I don't know. That's kind of weird though, right? Like, that's crazy though. Imagine working at a psych ward. That's gotta be such a trip. And then coming home to a like regular life. You probably think everyone's crazy, right? You'd be reading everyone like I don't even know, man. You'll be judging people before you meet them. That'd be weird. I feel. I don't know, though. It's kind of crazy. But that's very crazy.